Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Not going to say the normal word I say at the beginning. Took today off. Took yesterday off. For obvious reasons. We are back. There's no way we were going to miss doing this show. Jonny and I are about to break down a tale of two Spurs. It's time.
Did you say have a breakdown, Brian?
Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, let's just say if you don't like hearing about the negatives, this show is not going to be for you.
Switch off.
If you don't like hearing fair criticism sent at players and the manager, then this show is not going to be for you. I'll let you know now. I don't know if it's worse that we've done it a day after we normally do it, so we've got to deeply analyze and see the aftermath comments and everything. But Jonny, how are you, good sir?
Listen, I got to be honest with you. I did a video when I came out of the stadium, and I was going to post it, and I thought, no, I'm not going to post it. I need to digest it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got to the service station, and I thought I'd do another video. I did another video, and I thought, no, I'll digest it. I got home, and I was no less fuming when I got home, and I posted that video. And now I've had 2 more days. I don't feel any less angry. And I can't remember, Brian, the last time I felt this pissed off after a game of football. I really can't. And I don't know. It's a mixture of the performance, the comments, and the aftermath.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to get into this. I will just do what we always do and say hello to everybody in the chat. And we start off with channel member Nigel. I hope you are good and well. Later on this evening, UK time, I will be on his and the Danalists show. Really looking forward to that. So check that out. Channel member Andrew Gregory, good morning to you, or good afternoon to you. Big up, Mr. Sweden, Tony Rodriguez. I'm still 50% of the way there. I have huge questions about Ange, but I'm still not there. And the reason is, like I've said always, it's just repeating the cycle. But I do understand after performances like Sunday why people are very, very annoyed. I do understand it. David, good morning and afternoon to you wherever you are. Richest man, big up to you. Hope you're good and well. Psycho Fox, good morning. Just to say hello, because I can't remember what time zone everyone's in. I will listen to your voice note later on today. Darren Johnson, big up to you, buddy.
Morning, Darren.
Sean Slater, channel member. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. I hope you're good. Colin Crossamano is in the building. Yeah, I'm afraid there might be some very harsh words mentioned today. Ben Kaufman, good
morning,
afternoon.
Ben.
You, buddy. Matthew, channel member, good up to you.
Morning.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look what's going on here. Kate Rickman, good morning, afternoon.
Morning,
Thank
Kate.
you, in a minute. Big up, Peter. I hope you are good, buddy. This is a much better time for you than normal,
evening, evening brews. Afternoon,
Fran, my darling. I hope you're good. Who else have we got here? The PH family is here. Big up to you. Spurs Rule. Big up to you.
No,
Peter has already gifted 1 channel member. So if you have been in receipt of that, please give a big thanks to Peter and thank you for your wonderful support of the channel. What the F is Ange Ball? Is anyone shocked? The Aussie RD Liz hasn't got. I see what you did there. That's very clever. Very good. I like that. Yup, Phil P. That is his
That's
angry.
An R instead of a woo.
Yep, Shemtam channel member, big up to you. Paul Clark is in the building. Mr. Finland is in the building. Who else? We've got Kulu's right foot is here. The Spurs analyst, big up. Like I said, looking forward to your show later on today. Stuart, channel member, is in the building. Andrew W is in the building. Surveys is in the building. Who else have we got? Claire. Claire Gorey, big up to you. Yep, we are very, very angry. Right. So we can get through this. I will just remind people, just in case you're new to the show, although this will big up Lissy, I hope you're good as well. Just so people are aware, the way this show is done every single week is we discuss the negatives if there are. And boy, today there will be negatives. Positives, if there are any. I can think of one, maybe two bits, and they're really nothing to write home about. The special mentions is normally for players we want to divulge and discuss about how well they played and how they stood out. Well, we will be talking about how they stood out today, the other way. And then finally, we will come to the man himself, the man the show is named after, our boss, our leader, Ange Postecoglou. Now, Jonny will always start with his first negative. So, Jonny, fire away, buddy.
Right. So, listen, I'm just going to quickly go into some stats, okay? They might bore you, but they're worth listening to. So that's our worst start after 7 games for 17 years. This is season 2, remember? And Ange, told us that this is the season. He always wins something, remember?
Yep.
The percentage chance historically in the Premier League of being 2-0 up at half time and losing 3-2 is a whopping 2%. We managed to do it. In fact, we managed to do it for the 10th time. The 10th time in our history. The nearest to that had 7. Spurs last lost the game when they held a 2-0 lead 166 games ago. It was Manchester City. Brighton hadn't won in their previous 4 games. What I was going to say was, the other thing I was going to say, I don't know if it's related, but our record, Brian, just before the international break
is shambolic.
Is shambolic. We've lost to Brighton, we lost to Newcastle, we lost 3-0 to Fulham, we lost 2-1 to Wolves. We drew with Southampton. I mean, I think we lost Wolves, Newcastle, Fulham last season, Newcastle this season, and now this performance. So I'll start with that. Go on, I'll let you come back because I've got loads to say.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, again, obviously, people know where I go and watch the game. Big crowd as always. Thankfully, at the moment, the kickoff times on these Sundays are working in our favour. It's not stupid o'clock in the morning. And you know what? It's just, again, these players, we're going to I don't understand there is so much to but I cannot understand where these players have the right and the audacity at 2-0 up to think we're Tottenham Hotspur, we're going to win this. Before we come onto the manager, before we even start talking about the manager, people have to work out that we hype these players up. They are not as good as everyone says or believes they are. They may have the creativity. They may be able to defend. But when the push comes to shove and the pressure is on, this continues to happen. Doesn't matter which manager, doesn't matter which formation, doesn't matter which era, doesn't matter which style of play we play. Every single time games like this come, when we need leaders, when we need motivation, when we need a rocket up our arse, there's not one single player. And I include our World Cup winning Argentinian, who is captain, and we'll get onto him in special mentions, like I said. But the damn right naivety and the damn right audacity these players have to literally think they're bigger than they are, it just astounds me. I cannot believe how pathetic some of those players were in the second half. And like I said, I'm going to give Ange a lot of fair criticism that is due. But I'm sorry, the players that were on that pitch have let him down, have let the fans down. As is Ange, we're going to come to Ange, but you do not do that at 2-0 down. And people want to go on. The one stat I think you left out or you did mention, and I will show just how clearly it is. What a wonderful stat that came out this weekend. The Tottenham Hotspur are the first Premier League team to be 2-0 up in a game.
That's what I just said. That's what.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
and lose it and lose the game. The first team, we like 6 others. I think 6 others or 6 with us have been in the Premier League since its inception. And we are the first one. There are teams that have come up and gone down and lost more. But nope, Tottenham Hotspur will take this one. No leaders. And it's shown again what Jose Mourinho said in a documentary about we need to be horrible, you know what. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. So my first negative is the damn right fucking sheer audacity of these Spurs players to put in a performance like that, Johnny.
Listen, I'm going to say it. We are desperately missing a leader. And this probably won't go down well either. But whatever you want to say about Pierre Højbjerg, right? Or Højbjerg, or however you want to say his name. When we were in trouble last season, time and time again, he got brought on to try and steady the ship. And Ange used to say, I had to bring him on to steady the ship, right? And he did. We had no one. We had no one on the weekend. Absolutely no one. It was going on and on and on and on and on and on. No one was doing anything. When Destiny conceded that goal, Brian, did you see any player go up to him and say, come on, you put his arm around him? No, nothing. Nothing at all. No one to rally the troops. No one to put her arm around. No one to drive them forward. I see the circle of trust before the game. Put their arms round them. Okay, that's great. But what about when the chips are down and the shit hits the fan? Where are you then? Nowhere. I did say, I've got to be honest with you, and I know you said not to mention it, but I said at half-time, I was worried that I hope that our manager makes the substitutions because you cannot keep that intensity of the press, Brian. You can't keep the press intensity for 90 minutes. Therefore, you have to introduce fresh legs. And against Man United, when we only had 10 men, there was a 10-minute spell where they took control of the game and our manager never reacted. And I said, I don't want to see that happen again. So if it happens and we start to get tired, I just want to see the subs made quickly. It never happened. We were treading water. The heads went down. First goal went down. It was like you said, don't concede a goal, don't concede a goal. Where is our game management? Where is the understanding of how to run a game of football? Where is the interaction? Where are the players talking to each other? And I know we're going on to him later, but when he's not working, look at every manager in the Football League. Jurgen Klopp, Mourinho, Conte, right? Arteta. Look at them all. Even when he's going right, they're interacting and they're driving their players on. They certainly do it when the shit's hit the fan and it's not happening, right? When the players aren't taking it upon themselves to act and change what's going on the pitch, it's up to the manager to therefore take responsibility and take the matters out of their hands and into his and change the game. I was fuming. I mean, I wasn't well, made the journey down, stood in that stand, and that second half, I spent the whole second half screaming.
Yep. I can imagine.
Yeah, I was raging because you could see it all unfolding. Everyone around me, when that first goal went in, knew that we were losing that game. They just knew it.
Yep.
And I've been there before, Brian. And the thing is, I don't want to hear stories, oh, it's the same old squad, the same old players. No. These are his players. He got rid of the deadwood. He got rid of all these so-called no-gooders. Okay? I don't want to hear they're not Ange players. They're not Ange's team. This isn't his system. The system doesn't work properly. Everyone will get a chance. We could play Gillingham, right? And it wouldn't matter. Now,
correct.
The thing is, Conte said it, but these are different players. These are different players. This isn't, you can't blame the past. He's come in here. I can't sit there and talk about the past. The past has no reflection on the future. You should be looking straight ahead. I don't want to hear stories about, we were always Spursy. We're always like that. This is his team, his mindset. We keep hearing for the last 18 months about his positive mindset, how he's changing the culture of the club. I didn't see anything that did the same. I sat there last season, Brian, when we were 4-0 down in that stand. I didn't leave. Yep. I stood there because I'm a loyal supporter like all of those other people there. And we deserve more. We deserve more. Correct. We put more fight and effort into getting there and getting home than those guys did. They had one eye on thinking they'd won the game and one eye on going on their international break and like what time they'd be packing their bags to go to Argentina or to the Nations League. I was absolutely fuming. Absolutely fuming. They're all responsible. Every single one of those players on that pitch and every single one of those management guys on the sideline are all responsible, including him upstairs. I honestly think that, look, we are sitting, where are we, 9th in the league, Brian?
Yep. Something like that. Mate, Joe, I haven't even looked at the table. I haven't even looked at the table. I haven't watched any football.
Let's be honest, Brian, we could be talking, if it wasn't for that goal from Jed Spencer, a last-minute turnaround and Coventry screwing up, we'd be having a different conversation here where we're out the cup, we got no chance of in the league, we're in 9th position, and all we got left is Europa League. Go on.
Yeah, no, listen, I don't know what more we can... I mean, the negatives are solely... And as I said, there was someone in there that was saying, what's changed from manager? Nothing changes. Nothing changes but the style of football and then these results. Listen, these results...
We can't blame the same players, though, can we, bro? We can't blame the same players. We got rid of them.
Well, no, this is the thing. We got rid of players and we bring them in and we don't bring leaders in. There are no... If you go through this team... I don't understand how certain players are part of the leadership team. James Maddison will come on to it, but when I think of players that will go grab a player and say, get your ass up, go put in a shift, he spends most of his time rolling around holding his ankle, getting a touch, puts in a good first half performance. Where was he when the chips were down? Where were the players on the leadership team when the chips were down? Obviously, Sonny is out. Vicario shouts, screams, rah, rah, rah. Oh, that's from back there. Romero.
Can I just say, Brian, can I just interject there about Vicario? At least he had the decency to come over to the Spurs fans after the game and say, I'm sorry, right? He came over and said, I'm sorry. Where were the others?
This happened when I was back in London. This happened when we went away. Even at home games, when they lost, they wouldn't come over. And this is the issue. Where's James Maddison? Well, does James Maddison strike me as a player to grab someone by the scruff of the neck and say, sort your shit out? No. The only one we had was Pierre, like him or not. I was a fan of his, like him or not. You go. I'm sorry, I want to stick to this game.
He was bollocking. Yeah, I know, but I know you brought him up and I brought him up, but it's relevant, Brian. It's really relevant. He would be the one in the ref's ear. He'd be the one like shouting at our players to sort it out. He'd be the one putting his arm round, right? Because he's a bloody leader. He was a warrior. Whether you like him or not as a player,
Well, this is the thing. What we have to realise, and we'll come on to Ange. We will come on to him, and he is going to come in for a lot of criticism, and fairly so, for certain aspects. He is going to take responsibility, or we're going to put a lot of responsibility on him. But that's all part of football. You're right, or you can praise, but if you praise, you've got to be big enough to critique, and the other way round. And this going on, like you said, an international break. It's just unacceptable. It's just that there were people talking, and I saw We Are Tottenham TV talking about it yesterday on their show. saying that a lot of people are saying this is the worst performance under Ange, like the worst. Some people mentioned the 3-0 at Fulham or others, and
No,
Ben and
this
Sim
was
were like,
worse.
no, this one was worse because we were 2-0 up, flying and cruise control, and then came out for the second half. Do you know what? Let's move on from negatives and just touch on a couple of very, 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 very minuscule positives before we go on to, because the main thing about this is going to be the special mentions and Ange. So we're going to move on to the positives now. Johnny, do you have? I've got two very small.
Yeah, no, I've got a positive. Timo Werner miscrossed the pass, right? He miscrossed the pass to the wrong person, and it fell to James Maddison, who scored, right? So that's a positive, right? I can find one.
Yeah.
And Johnson again, ole, right? 6 in 6.
Yeah. I mean, one of my, obviously, Brennan, when he scored and he took that goal extremely well. It's 6 in 6, regardless what people want to think of him, say about him, whatever. He's now on a streak that not many people in many positions
Should have done better
across
with
Europe are in. Listen, could he have scored that second one? Maybe he should have done better, at least get on target.
Yeah.
Didn't. But obviously, I've seen things on social media where people have come out the day after and started saying, how shit is Brennan Johnson? I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. So much has happened in that Brighton game. The guy's gone 6 in 6, and this is the person you want to target. This is the person you're going to be a bit fair, because he's 6 in 6, and it doesn't matter whether it's his social media switching off. There's players across the Premier League, La Liga, the German League, whatever, that aren't 6 in 6. And people say, yeah, well, they're all against smaller teams or they're all tap-ins. Well, again, I'm sure all across Europe, people have had to play a mixed bag of people, and they're not 6 in 6. Harry Kane ain't 6 in 6. Not comparing them to Harry Kane before people start going, oh my God, you're comparing. Have some respect that the man is 6 in 6, especially with what he's had to deal with. And he took that goal extremely well. Will it be 7 in 7? We'll find out. But if someone had said Johnson would be 6 in 6 going into this international break, I think every single person would have taken it and accepted it. And fair play to him. And I hope he comes back and continues to put the ball in the back of the net, which is exactly what he's on. And this is the thing. I've seen people say, oh, it's only tap-ins. Well, not every goal has to be glamorous. You don't get extra points for scoring a goal with your head or from the
What about
penalty
Solanke? Solanke's done nothing but tap-ins. And talking about Solanke, despite his influence, basically, Solanke had 20 touches of the ball in the entire game. 20 times he touched the ball in the entire game. The least amount of any player on the pitch for both teams. 20. Think about that. 95 minutes, and he was the influential one. He made the assist. He had the press, and he never touched the ball. So where does the problem lie with that? Where was his supply?
Correct.
20 touches, yet he almost made 2 assists.
Correct. This is the thing. That was going to be my other positive. Apart from well done, we played brilliant in the first half. Solanke didn't get it. Like I said, didn't get the service. What's he meant to do without it? But when he got the service, there's 2 chances. Or he got the assist for 1. Could have scored. Had a part to play in Maddison's goal, and then the service dried up as in the second half. Let's see what some people are playing. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm not. You know what I'm saying, Craig. I'm talking about 6. He's on another level, but I'm saying that there's other people in the Bundesliga, there's other people in La Liga, there's other people in the French league, in the German league, in the Premier League that aren't 6 in 6, that haven't got 6 goals in such time, and it deserves a bit of respect. Not saying that you haven't, Craig, because you certainly have. But right, positives, let's get done. Right, let's go through the players that need calling out, because there are players that need to be discussed. Where are you going, Johnny? Where are you starting? And I think we should do defence and midfield for like positioning. Let's not hop over all over the place. Let's
right. Well, I'll start with Destiny then. I don't think he should have even been playing, Brian. I mean, I don't know what game I was watching or others have been watching. I watched him against Coventry. He didn't look quite right. He came off injured. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played against Man United, where I didn't think he didn't look quite right, and came off at half time again. He didn't play against against Ferencváros.
Yep.
I don't think he should have started yesterday. So he started the game. He that opening, his head dropped. His head dropped after that first goal. No one went over to him. No one consoled him. Everyone's head went down. No one said a thing. It looked like he was just completely in the depths of despair. And if no one's going to go to him and sort him out on the pitch, then I'm sorry. It's up to the bloody manager to call him over to the sidelines and say, "Don't worry about it. Get your head on focus. We move on." Or if he thinks it's not happening for him, take him off. He looked tired, and we all know what happened. 18 minutes, we'd conceded 3 goals. He had one chance, tried to make recompense, that drive down. It was a good effort. It was a half-decent save, but that was it. He's come back from an injury, and he should have been playing. You've got Jed Spence, who's come in, who's desperate for game time, who's physically fit, who proved himself against Man United. Why are you keeping him on? You took him off against Man United. You took him off against Coventry. Why are you leaving him on here when he's getting bloody crucified? And what did we do? He switched him over to the right-hand side for 5 minutes to try and, soften the blow. I saw someone said to me on there that I should calm down. But let me tell you something. When you've driven all over the flipping country, like myself and others, and you've come back and you had to watch that crap and that performance, yeah, you're lucky it's today and not Sunday.
So Jonny, I have to say, Psycho Fox actually said, "Calm down, so you don't have a coughing fit." He was having your back. He wasn't having a go at you saying, "Calm down."
With your no. So quick. Apologies.
No. So yeah, listen. Let's talk Destiny. I completely agree with you. Start off with the reason he didn't travel to Hungary was to give him the best opportunity to play in this game. Now, you could see he clearly wasn't right. Now, people will remember a saying that I say, and I've said it so many times over so many years, but nothing is so more relevant to Destiny. Our players are overplayed and undervalued. And when I say undervalued, I say it every single time. I don't mean financially. I mean physically, mentally. Basically, if you're fit enough and you're the first teamer, you play. No matter what. You're a first teamer. You're going to play no matter what. Whether you're recovered fully from injury or we're going to take you out so you can recover fully from injury. If you're ready or you're nearly fit, I'm going to play you. And once again, when it comes to Destiny Udogie, the second he's fit, because we didn't buy a left back.
Correct.
Didn't buy a left back.
2 years.
We literally, once again, we always do this. We have a position where we just think, oh, he's good enough. And then we got the backup. And you look at it, he was certainly not fully fit. He certainly was not at the races. Jed Spence should have started that game, or at least
half-time.
Soon as, not even at half-time, maybe half-time would have been best looking at hindsight. But after the slip-up from that first goal. Now, the first goal, the little bit of, not praise, but the little bit of slack that I'm saving from Destiny is I can understand it. That obviously Van der Ven went for it and he thought Van der Ven was going to get it. He didn't get it.
Well, he got towed to it, didn't it?
It came to him so quickly after because he thought Destiny, but it's still a shocking attempt at clearance. And what pissed me off the most was, okay, I can forgive you the air kick and missing it. What I do blame you for is your lack of movement after it. You just sat there like, oh, well, I've missed the ball. Let's just see what happens. And just didn't make a lunge to try and make for it. But 100%, as soon as that goal went in, that should have been right. He is not fit. He is not ready. Off.
How many tackles did he lose, Brian?
I said, if it hadn't have been first, if it hadn't have been starting, if it hadn't have been at half time, we've seen it before where Van der Ven has come on when he hasn't been fit.
Yeah.
And then Aston Villa, he went off. Everton, he carried on playing. What I keep mentioning this, and I'm going to keep saying it. It doesn't matter what manager it is. What manager? Spurs players are overplayed, and undervalued. And I will keep banging that drum until it's resolved, but it doesn't get resolved under a certain ownership. This will continue to happen. And Destiny is not 100% fit. Destiny will now go to Italy. Destiny will probably play, probably get injured, and then we'll see what happens. But Destiny was shambolic. Do you know what? That third goal, the third goal, we'll come on to other, but literally, no, he's just sitting there. This guy is as powerful as an ox. He's got all the power. He loves to shoulder barge out and about and use his strength. But then I know he couldn't have gone in because it had been a penalty. But it's just like, yeah, just take the ball past me and throw me. Just do it.
Even the one on the fit. Line. Even the one on the touchline.
He wasn't fit. He wasn't ready. But let's move on from this. It's my choice now, isn't it? No, this isn't 100%. Listen, we should have brought another left back, but we don't. But do you know what?
Two windows, Craig. Two windows. We've been.
I'm now going to show that obviously we all have our favourite players. We all have our players that we try to be biased towards, and I certainly have one. I have one by a country mile, but today he's not getting away from anything, and that is Mickey Van der Ven, who, let's face it, before people go, oh my God, he's been brilliant for so many games. Yes, since he's been at Tottenham Hotspur, he has been absolutely frigging awesome.
Apart from Newcastle.
Absolutely incredible. Apart from Newcastle and today. Oh, sorry, and Sunday. His pace is incredible. He is a wonderful footballer. My favourite player at the club. Plays out of his skin 99.9% of the time. But Sunday, we're all thrown off because we had the day off yesterday. He had a poor performance when the chips were down. And people have got to remember, we talk, and I don't say we as in me and John, as a fan base, we see so many times people going, we have this world-class defence. We have this brilliant, and don't get me wrong, individually, they are goddamn awesome. And when they're all on their game, they're unbelievable. But one cog in the wheel breaks, it shows. Two cogs break, we're fucked. Well, 3 of the 4 were horrific on Sunday. And Mickey Van der Ven was awful in that second half. Absolutely awful, Johnny.
Yeah, it wasn't Mickey Van der Ven. It was Mickey Van again and again and again. He made a couple of good tackles in the first half. I think people seem to think, Brian, that we didn't have any chances in. Brian didn't have any chances in that first half. Welbeck and Watson had a couple of chances. They could have easily scored 2 goals. I think we're delusional because we were so focused on what we were doing. They didn't see what they were doing. But apart from those 2 challenges, look, I've always said, as far as I'm concerned, Mickey's great on the ground, great, intercepting. I still think he's crap in the air for a 6'4" guy. He really, really, really needs to sort it out. But I think you said it all. Woeful. His worst performance since last season.
Yeah.
What can I say about it? My next one is Christian Romero. Now, listen, I'm going to say something. There's no doubt he's been responsible for a lot of defensive issues this season. But I'm going to say something in his defence-ish, right? And what I'm going to say is this is a guy that's played for the Copa America qualification, right? It's all the World Cup qualifications. He's done travelled halfway around the world, does the full season at Tottenham, goes out to Australia, then goes back and for this stupid one-off game in Newcastle. Then he goes to Copa America and plays there. He had 2 weeks break before coming into this season. Now, I know they're paid a lot of money, and I know he's the captain of the club and all the rest of it. But I hear all this bullshit talk about rotation, Ange's rotation, and he has to utilise the squad and all the rest of it. Well, I'm sorry. I can see that Romero's not quite right. He hasn't been. He's like a yard off of it, right? He's had 2 weeks break. 2 weeks. Something's not quite right. So why have you got Dragusin? Why have you bought him? If he is not bloody good enough, why did you sign him? Rest Romero. No one should be too big to be dropped from this club. We've seen it before with other managers dropping top players. What happens? 2 games later, they're having man of the match performances because it's a wake-up call, right? But if you're going to say you're undroppable, and to me, Ange is saying to me, Romero is undroppable. Even if he's coming in with a limp, he's starting that game, right? For me, there's been signs that Romero should have potentially been dropped. What's the point of talking about rotation when you don't rotate?
Listen, I don't care where Romero's travelled to. I don't care that he's been at a Copa America. People
I'm
were
just saying
at Euro.
2 weeks, bro.
No. I'm not saying to you, Johnny.
Yeah.
I've had enough of making excuses. I'm not saying you are for certain players. Like I've just got in a Mickey. He has been at fault for switching off for multiple goals. He always, and I do mean always, puts in performances like this just before Argentina, just before international duty.
Yeah.
He is meant to be a leader. He is meant to be. He's meant to set the tone. He was fucking captain this game. Captain.
Yeah.
Because Sonny was out. When people say who's the one, oh, he's all big for fucking slapping someone when we scored a goal. Hey, we scored a goal. Let me give you a slap. Well, where's your anger and aggression when the Spurs players are down and need?
Is he too big to be dropped, Brian? Is he too big to be dropped?
I go back to what I said, Johnny. Overplayed and undervalued. The drop in standards in this squad when players are out are so big that you just keep playing them. You just keep playing them, and this will continue to happen. And I'm sorry, people that have come out and tried to defend Romero after that performance, you are entitled to your opinion like I am with mine, and it is unacceptable. People will go, this man is a World Cup winner. This man is a Copa America winner.
I'm not going to hear he's the shit player because
I'm not, Johnny, I'm not saying the shit player. What I am saying is when he is playing shit, you can call it out for shit. Listen, now, I know when he's with Argentina, he's with Lionel Messi and elite players, but the Argentinians don't mess about. If your team is losing or if your team are playing well, you get fired up. You deal with it. Romero should have been the player wearing the captain's armband on Sunday that should have said, this is unacceptable. And this time I'm coming to give you a slap, not to say, well done, you scored a goal. But we're Tottenham Hotspur. This can't happen. But he didn't. But before we go on with...
So Brian, just to say there, so I totally agree with everything you're saying. I'm asking you the question, right? When you can see he's not performing and he's not doing it, are we to say that Dragusin is not good enough to play for Spurs? That Romero can't be dropped because he's not performing? Because listen,
listen, Johnny, I really don't want to say what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it. But we know what happens with this ownership when players have wanted to be played by a manager, and the person at the top doesn't agree. We've seen documentaries, we've seen managers talk about it, and I would pretty much say that probably the same thing happens when it comes to when he sees the team sheet when players are about. Listen, I'm not going to go any further on the prick up top. There is going to be a time and a place for it, and it's coming very soon from me. Very, very soon. But before I mention my next player, well, there you go, Shemtan. First of all, thank you for the super chat. Let's talk about Rodrigo Bentancur, who, quite frankly, I was appalled by on Sunday for his performance. Absolutely. We have all been raving recently, the last few games, at how well he's played. And against Manchester United and against Brentford, he was incredible. He was incredible. Everything he did was brilliant. But it's all well and good when the team are winning and the team are playing well. You find out who these leaders are. And I will say, I'm not having Porro mentioned in this because Porro is someone that I think played well. He got done a couple of times by Matone, but he certainly weren't one of the bad ones. Rodrigo Bentancur, again, for the third goal, embarrassing. Embarrassing. I could have put in a better challenge and tackle and effort and desire. Again, international break coming. Oh, no, he's suspended, so it won't even be him. It was just unacceptable. Do you know what it was with him and a few of the others? But him specifically, his body language was atrocious. Absolutely. It was like a kid that had been picked last in football in the playground and just didn't want to play. His body language was absolutely abysmal. His performance was shocking. And he's another one that I'd expect to stand up to the plate on a performance like that when the tide was turning and yet failed to deliver, Jonny.
Listen, I am not going to argue. I'm a great fan of Bentancur. But I'll say it, and I'll say it, and I'll say it again, right? When I manage kids on a Sunday in kids football, and I can see little Tommy's in the middle of the park and he's huffing and puffing, and I can see he's gone, what do? Do I stand there with my hands in my pockets looking at the ground or staring into space? No. I call little Jonny over and I say to him, are you okay to carry on? Are you tired? I'm knackered. He was knackered. He couldn't run. That last goal, that third goal, would not have happened had he been subbed off. 79 minutes before he was subbed off. 79. There are armchair fans who are sat at home watching that, right? Who could see a bigger picture than I can watching it from one end. But we all know, I knew that he needed to come off. He was struggling, yet he was still on for the third goal, and he was still on at the 79th minute. Now, you can't excuse the player has to, account for his own performance, but the fault lies to the side of the pitch with the man who's controlling stuff when he can see it's not working. You have to act. Okay, I'll leave it there.
Okay, yep, your next one.
Listen, Timo Werner, honestly, look, that first minute burst down right in front of me, and I was going, go on, Timo, encouraging him. Everybody was. What a shocking pass. It is perfect. If Mikey Moore had been in that position, he'd have bent that ball round and Johnson would have been tapping that in. His head went straight down, Brian. His head went straight down. Then the header, which, let's be honest, even though it was offside, there was no power really from that header. It was a bit of a fumble on the goal line. His head went down. The pass for Maddison, it wasn't for Maddison. It was a bad pass, and it ended up with Maddison. His head, they tried to G him up. He's not in the space. What is the point of having the squad? Utilise your Jed Spences, utilise your Mikey Moores, utilise these other players. When someone isn't having a good game, whether it be Destiny or Bentancur or Mickey Van der Ven or Romero, utilise the squad. What's the point of having the squad? And quite frankly, again, how he was still on that pitch in the second half is beyond me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I just do not get it.
Yeah,
150 grand a week. 150 grand a week.
I mean, with Timo Werner, listen, everything's been said about him. The guy is an abysmal football player. Abysmal. He's an athlete. I've now called him. I've not called him a footballer. He's an athlete. He can run with the ball.
Third fastest in the league.
He can run well with the ball. When he gets the ball, take on his man. Yep, fine, good. You're taking on a man. You've created space. But when you've got the space, you can't pass. You can't cross. I think 1 in 8 passes turn out to be successful, and I'm not just talking about 2-yard little ones. But again, the fault goes down to the ownership and the manager for signing him, re-signing him, which enabled us to not be able to bring in a left winger of class, because this would save us money and we could focus on other areas. And who would have thought so early into his career we would be crying for Odegaard? Whether people wanted him or not, agreed with the signing or not, that's where we are right now. Thankfully, some will be back, please God, for West Ham. But Odegaard, listen, Mikey Moore was there. We'll get onto the subs and everything after. But yeah, I don't even know if we even is it a special mention to dig him out because it's so obvious going to happen. I feel the goal ruled out for offside. For me, it didn't even look like it crossed the bloody line, but that's another point. But you missed out one player, Jonny, and I am going to do it. Now, I am going to say to people as well.
I haven't missed anyone.
No, you have missed. Well, I said we'll go midfield, then we'll go, and you've missed you've missed a midfielder. But I will say very quickly, people that wanted questions, put a Q- at TOT- or if you can, and you're in any position to and you want to put in a super chat, please do. But I will say we will be having a hard stop at the latest 1:45 UK time, because I'm going on We Are Tottenham TV's panel show. So whether we get through all the questions, it depends on how far we get into all this. But I will praise this man one thing before I slam him. And rightfully so. Now, when I say slam him, I think James Maddison is the only player that's come out and apologised to the fans on his social media for the performance. So fair play to him on that. But I have to say to people that were going, oh my God, how is James Maddison not in the England squad? My God, he should have been called up. And I was like, no, he needs to stay at home. It's good that he stays at home or stays with us so he can train, keep his fitness, whatever. Do I think it's harder for him to get into the England squad than Dominic Solanke because of the players that England have at their disposal? Yes. Our performance like that, that's the James Maddison that's mainly been there. He's had 2 good games, Brentford and Manchester United. 2 really good games where he's been influential. This guy, he calls the cameras over so he can do his nice little dart thing. Fair play. Did he stand up and rally the troops? What did he do in the second half? Apart from hold his ankle on the floor. This guy, honestly, I'm at a loss with him. One moment he's brilliant. It's like Marmite. You love it or you hate it. One moment he's brilliant. And Wayne Holland, if he's watching, my good buddy, my Leicester City fan, was like, when he's on fire, he's on fire. But when he's not, bing, forget about it. The drop-off is horrific. And I'm sorry, but once again, we've seen a side of James Maddison, and people go, oh, he's not a leader. He's just experienced. Spurs don't have leaders. The new word for leaders at Spurs is experienced. Because if you're 28 and above or 27 and above and you played it, you're experienced. Doesn't mean you're a leader. James Maddison isn't a leader. James Maddison couldn't lead a bloody conga line, in my opinion, when the chips are down. And Sunday, the chips were bloody down. And where was he? Where was he? Was he putting a boot in? Did you see one tackle from any, and this is to any Spurs player, to go, right, this ain't acceptable. Bang, I'm going to knock you down and take a yellow card. Not a single one of them.
We don't
Just
do the dark arts. Ange doesn't do the dark arts.
No, mate, it's not. No, Johnny.
The dark arts.
Johnny, it's not just Johnny. It's not just Ange. This has been a problem. Jose Mourinho called it out.
Yeah, but Brian, these are different players.
Tottenham don't do it. We don't buy leaders. We do not buy leaders. We think we can nurture them. We don't come in and go, right, do you know what, that guy, he's going to sort this team out. He's going to be a leader.
I can't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you what you're saying. But I can disagree with you with the fact that these are a different set of players. These are Ange's players. Yep. This is a team moulded. If we were talking 3 months in, 4 months in, totally, I get it. We're 18 months in now. We're 18 months in. I was singing, instead of James Maddison, I was singing James Madders gone. James Madders gone. Gone to the dogs. Where was he in the second half? Anonymous. Okay, if you, I know we've even not got to the man on the sidelines right now, but it's infuriating me. Those players let us down, but the man at the top, the man on the sidelines, in my opinion, let us down even more. Not only with what he did on the sidelines and his lack of interaction or reaction, but his comments before, none during, and what he said afterwards. But James Maddison was shocking. James Maddison was shocking.
Listen,
but he at least came out and faced the music. Yeah. And like
I said to you, I am gonna say to you, like you said, this is Ange's team. There's no doubt about it. But there's no leaders in there. There were no leaders.
That, Brian?
Mate, but Johnny, this is the part I'm getting at. It's not just Ange. Ange has a big thing to do with it, undoubtedly. But when consistently over X amount of years, leaders, and I mean leaders, are not brought into this team, and it happens with every fucking manager, keep blaming the managers. Yes, Ange Postecoglou should say, no, this is the guy. I need a fucking leader. In he comes. Tell me a manager that has brought a leader into this football club.
Brian.
Tell me a manager that has brought a leader into this football club.
Brian, I hear what you're saying. The past is the past, right? The past is the past, and I agree with what you're saying. But what I can't agree with, this is a man who's made it because I will not accept any player at this club that I don't personally want. This is also true. Okay?
Well, do you know what?
The player that I
Let's get on to him. Let's get on.
So what I'm saying to you is,
go on.
Yeah. Where are you the leader? You are the leader. You lead by example. We hear it all the time in waxing lyrical about his mindset, the winning mindset, how he's changing the mindset of the club. It's 18 months. I always win something in my second year. Okay. I've got this. I've got that. I'm positive. I'm positive. I'm this. I'm that. And listen, I tell you, the comments before the game, you know, this could be open. This could be an open game. You know, what are you going to do to combat it? Nothing. I'm not going to do anything to combat it. Nothing at all. But for me, the one that really I can't cope with, to be honest with you, it's the one, were you tempted to make your subs earlier as the game turned away from Spurs? Yeah, I could have. But all these things are totally irrelevant to me. Substitutions and all those kind of things, if you're not competitive, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to get rewards. You don't deserve to win. We didn't deserve on our second half performance, irrespective of the subs or anything else, to get something out of the game. But I think if you do get something out of the game, you're falsely rewarded, and I don't want to get falsely rewarded. Fuck right off. You don't want to get falsely rewarded, right? What about the fans that get rewarded for traipsing down? You don't want to win the game. How many games of football have you watched? Forget Spurs, where a team hasn't deserved to win the game, but has won the game. One chance and bang, or got a draw. That's football. What he's going to do? He's going to punish us. He's going to punish us. I don't understand it. Management is just that. Managing during the game, right? There's plenty of people out there, fans, armchair, whether you know football or not, who could see that game and say, we needed to make subs. He doesn't practice the dark arts. When that first goal went in, instead of trying to start as quickly as possible, no one was there like slowing the game down, trying to get them together. He didn't call anyone over from the side on the sidelines and say, look, guys, focus, get on them, get on it. Nothing.
Yep.
It's like, you know, why are you staring in the sky? Why are you staring at the floor? You're there to do a job. You're there to react. 18 minutes where those goals went in, nothing. Yet I had to wait to the 79th minute. Finally, he's making subs. Who's he bringing on? Game changers. Who's he bring on? Sarr and Basuma. Didn't change nothing. Didn't change anything. Those comments before the game, the comments after the game. And I just, honestly, it left me absolutely fuming. And I'm still fuming about it.
Yeah,
like, we didn't deserve to win. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if we won that game 2-1 and we had the luckiest win of the season. I don't care. I want to win the game. No one looks back and says, oh, you know, we didn't deserve to be rewarded because we didn't play well. I don't give a damn, and neither does any fan.
Yep. I will say, just before I go on, I've seen loads of new people in the chat today. So thank you for joining the show and being part of engaging with us in the comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. So thank you very much.
Can I just add one more thing, Brian?
One more thing.
Sorry. The Brighton coach, I'm forgetting his name again now. Can't remember his name. Anyway, he's 31, right? He visited Ange to study Ange's technique. Well, it looks like the teacher got taught. And Ange said also that the guy asked far too many questions. Well, he obviously asked the bloody right ones, didn't he? Because he taught him a bloody lesson, right? He reacted. He made substitutions. He brought on subs to change the shape of the game. He brought on fresh legs to give them motivation, to show them how that they could continue to press. Well, Spurs' legs crumbled and we faded, and Benton Core and others looked to be tired. He did nothing. Let's punish the players. Let's punish the fans. Get lost, man. Come on, man.
So I've left Craig up here for a reason, and it's, if we're brutally honest, Ange isn't cut out for this level, and signs are clear as day. I come under a lot of criticism for whether it be board or whatever, but one of the ones I'm recently coming under criticism for is because I said, and I will stand by, I am still not doing it, I will never turn on a manager, whether I will agree with what he's doing or not. And the reason I do it, as people, whether they want to forget this part or not, is because I know what happens with the prick upstairs. We'll just be here 2 years' time doing exactly the same thing. That doesn't mean I'm right. That doesn't mean that you're right or either of us are wrong. I'm sick and tired of it. But one thing that I am more sick and tired of is Ange Postecoglou having a microphone shoved under him after a game. I've never seen a manager come out with such bizarre comments. First of all, he started using Mikel Arteta's the non-negotiables. Now, listen, that's a quote anyone can use, but obviously Arteta has been using it. Before I go anywhere, we've just got a super chat in from Active on Wembley. 15 months under the dictator of football. Ange is clearly the same deathly look on the side. That's what I'm going to come to, brother. I couldn't agree with you more. And then also David Shire is doing David Shire things and has gifted 5 people memberships. So if you are one of them, please thank David. David, love you, brother. I hope you're good and well, and we'll catch up soon. But getting back to it, this man, I don't understand. Sometimes at the beginning of the season, some of the things he said about we're fitter. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, we're fitter. Yep, okay. I'm staying away from that. I want to stick.
He always wins season 2, Brian.
How? Oh, listen. I mean, hasn't he learned from Conte and Jose? Hasn't he learned that don't say things like that, because you may do that, but you have come to. If you want to come to the club that will kill any managerial records on your CV, come to Tottenham Hotspur. It's a haven for records being smashed in a bad way rather than a good way. How you can come out and say, as he quoted, the non-negotiables, we were winning and we lacked intensity. Well, I am sorry. The Spurs players, and we've given them hell for leather during this show, and they've received hell for leather from all other shows, from everyone in the pub, people around the world. It's not just YouTubers doing this. You can criticize the players. You can criticize the manager, even if you believe in the manager or think you do, or your manager out. The same with the board. And I'm sorry, you cannot, as a Tottenham Hotspur manager, or as any manager, if you're a manager of, like I was at Booking.com, they're like, well, why didn't you hit all your targets? Well, I saw this guy was crap and kept breaking protocol, but I just thought, yeah, do you know what? It'll fix itself. They'd be like, well, you're the leader. If you see danger, you fix it.
Correct.
If you're a father, which please God one day I'll become, and you see your kid doing wrong, or about to make a mistake, or about to fall over, you protect them. You save them. You say, no, don't do this. I don't understand. He's kind of went with the persona, well, you got yourself into this.
Get yourself
out of it. The players were incapable, and I do mean incapable, of doing this. Absolutely. And when you've got players, I mean, you spoke about the subs he made. What I don't understand is we could all see what was happening at 2-0.
Correct.
Then we could see it at 2-1. And you could say, Destiny, you need off. Then at 2-2, which is, I'm more pissed off with the subs not being made at 2-2 than straight after 3-2. Because at 2-2, you're like, right, we've just lost 2 goals here. The game has changed now. Rather than trying to see out the win, I've got to protect the. At least
Bentancur and Destiny at
Jonny,
that point.
So it's like, let me protect the defence again, an absolute hammering, and also get some quality up there. No, 2-2, and then 3-2. He still waits, and the first thing he does at 3-2 is make the defensive midfield changes that he should have made at 2-1, and especially at 2-2. And it's like, how you can do this? You have substitutions there to make an impact. And again, I will say, I am going to say, and people, listen, I'm sure people will agree with what I've said. We have had this issue with being reactive rather than proactive with so many managers. This isn't an Ange thing. This is a Tottenham Hotspur thing. We questioned Ange, we questioned Harry, we questioned AVB, we questioned Joel. It's happened over and over again. But this right here, right now, when you are cruising along, but I do not understand at all, and I'm still Ange in. Don't get me wrong, he's given me loads of questions. I'm like, well, I'm not too sure about this. And I can do that as a fan. I refuse to turn my back on him, but I can certainly bloody question him. And how you can go on and say the quotes that he's come out with, and he's gone, listen, it is one game, and I know fans are overreacting, blah, 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 but we've won 5-5. Well done. You have won 5-5. Brilliant. Could have been 6-6. I'm criticising the second half. Forget the first half, where he deserves praise, and the players. It's amazing that people will praise. After this game, people have been going, oh, we are brilliant in the first half. We're brilliant in the first half. And then in the second half, they don't want to,
90 minutes.
they don't want to talk about the second half. Well,
a game's 90 minutes.
Surprise, the game is 2 halves.
Yeah.
First half, brilliant. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we finished like a pathetic bunch of school kids playing with jumpers for goalposts. And the man on the sideline who's coming for all the praise and done very. Listen, I've been top of that. Going, here we go. Things are. I had my faith in him. You screwed up royally, and you know what? He hasn't come out and said, you know what? Hands up. I should have seen this earlier. I should. He needs to have a look at himself because I was praising him over recent games for changing the fullbacks, not being inverted in certain games. Maddison having more time, the way we play, everything, the changes he made in the Europa League, all coming off. Well, you're in for criticism today because you've monumentally cocked up in that second half, and your inability to see it and change it, and then to go on and say what I don't understand how he has said. Like, we sometimes look at it when after the fans forum or something, Levy comes out and makes a stupid dickhead in your face comment, and you're like, you fucking idiot. You goddamn fool. And we'll quote retweet, we'll tweet, we'll discuss it because he's just a prick and he says something stupid. And it's like, my God, there must be a team that stand behind him and say, what are you doing? What are you saying? Obviously, straight after a game, there's no one to talk to Ange. He has to come out and deal with it. But seriously.
It's a catalogue, Brian.
He was saying, look at the bigger picture. I look at the bigger picture. But I can also look at a half or a game of performance. And that, and Ange's inability to change it, and his ridiculously absurd comments afterwards are just batshit crazy to me, Johnny.
Well, do you know what? I got to tell you, Brian, when I saw the comments when I got home, I didn't see the comments till I got home. I actually thought it was an AI-generated farce, like someone taking the piss out of the fans, Brian. And I had people, when I tweeted it, people saying this obviously isn't true. They didn't even believe it was true. But what about the comment? I understand what you're saying. When you shove a microphone under someone after they've just had an embarrassing defeat, you say stuff. But what about when he was asked pre-game what he thought? How was he going to combat it? No, we're not going to do anything. We're here to entertain people. We're here to entertain people. What's he talking about? Listen, this is a Brighton team that hadn't won in the 4 previous games. This is a Brighton team without João Pedro, without Van Hickey, who's Webster, who went down after 10 minutes injured. You know, we're talking about a 31-year-old virgin manager who had to go to him last year to try and find out how to be a better manager. He made reaction. He reacted. He interacted on the side of the pitch. I don't want to see a manager who spends the entire interview before the game and after the game looking at the floor, looking for dirt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to bring up a couple of comments. First of all, I'm going to start with Lee's, who goes, now you're talking my language, Brian. Listen, Lee, I don't know which Lee you are or who you are, but I saw you say I'm an Ange sympathiser. I'm no fucking Ange sympathiser. I'm a man that has repeatedly come out and put my face on camera and social media and said I've never turned on a manager and it's not starting now. But I will criticise what he says. I will call him out when deservedly so. And it goes again with my brother Tony. Listen, I defend Ange. I'm not defending mediocrity. I've said this to you and you know this personally. Whether he's out of his depth or not, man up top. Well, if you think, and I'm not one more, Johnny. If people think that Ange goes and he's going to bring in a disciplinarian, one that won't stand for shit, a Tommy Tuchel, forget it. He will bring people that he can, under the thumb control, that won't be allowed to bring in the leaders we spoke. And as Richest Man said, I think the last proper leader this club brought in, who is a leader, was Scott Parker. That was probably the last one. And we are talking Harry Redknapp days. Harry, people could say Pierre. You can.
Pierre was the leader. I'm sorry, he played for 3 years and listened to Conte and listened to Mourinho, what they said about him. So,
but get back to Ange. Like you said, when he said, and as Craig said, in-game management,
he hasn't got any.
You cannot. There was none. And you look at it now, we all go back to this one, that Gary O'Neill It's Gary, isn't it? The Wolves manager.
Yeah, this is how you beat Spurs.
How can I forget his first name? Same as my dad's. Gary O'Neill gave the blueprint out to how to beat Tottenham. Teams have woken up. Teams make changes to play us. They know, just sit back, bang, off you go. Why is it? Are we? This is where the whole. Does that mean other managers go, right, there is a way to beat them? The bit where he's come out and said, well, we're going to carry on as long as we're entertaining. I've said it before. If we were to play boring Arsenal, 1-0, boring every game, but it won us a league, won us the Europa League. I don't know why I keep going over here. They're not. But if it won us, I will take boring football. I want trophies. As a fan, I demand trophies. This is Tottenham Hotspur. Whether people go, oh, well, we haven't won anything for it. We used to. It's got to the point now where we're looking at this, and some of the things he's saying, he can say this shit at Celtic. He can say, not going to make a change. It doesn't matter, because you have to worry about Rangers. This is, and all I will say, and I don't know how people are going to take what I'm about to say, I'd rather lose like this in the league than in the cup. Like I've said from the beginning of the season, I don't give a fuck where we finish in the league. I don't care. If people think we're getting top 4, fair play to you. Fair play for your belief and your positivity. We're a million miles away from it. The only glimmer of success we have this season is in the cup competitions. And if I have to take that kind of performance in the league so we could get it right in the cup, then so goddamn be it.
Brian, look,
I will not take it in this manner.
I'm so angry. Look, if we were in the 91st minute and we were winning 1-0, okay, he'd be wanting us to take that free kick quickly, get free kick, take it quickly, pass the ball up. Other teams will be playing it out. You're 2-0 up with Jose Mourinho or Conte. You're not losing the game, right? Because they tell you game management. We don't have any. And changing it, I don't want to bring him up, but look at Arteta, right? They lose Odegaard. And whatever you think of Arsenal, Odegaard is a superb, absolutely superb player. Everything goes through Odegaard, right? Arsenal play in threes. They play in triangles of threes, of which Odegaard is normally part of that triangle, especially in the final third. What did they do? They lost Odegaard. They changed it up. They didn't carry on playing in triangles because they didn't have the man who made that possible. So then they started working in pairs, passing in pairs, working in conjunction with each other. They changed their system. They still were effective, but it was a different system. This guy has one trick. It's a one-trick pony.
Correct.
It's a one-trick pony. Nothing will change. And I hear what you're saying, Brian, about historics. I've been watching Spurs all my life. I know it. I'm aware of it all. But I'm not going to hear it with this manager. I'm sorry, because he got his wish. He cleared out. Look how many players we have cleared out this season. All the players all the fans wanted. Get rid of this, get rid of that. They've all gone. The players he's got in the 3 transfer windows have all been his. And the ones that were there, that were brought in by Fabio beforehand, most managers would be happy to have, right? So I'm not hearing it. This is on Ange. It's on the players were at fault for their performance, 100%. But I'm not going to hear it's just the players. You can't blame Ange. You can bloody blame Ange. Ange needs to tweak his tactics. He needs to react on the pitch. I don't want to see him with his hands in his pockets like a Greek statue staring off into space. I don't do it as a manager when I manage my kids, and I'm sure, you know, guys out there or women out there who go and watch their sons or daughters play football on the weekend, they shout encouragement to them, or when it's not going well, the manager might say something or bring them over or make a substitution. This guy is like he's watching a game, and that's it. He might as well sit in the bloody stand. Give him a seat in the south stand.
Yeah, listen, it all goes back to it. You look at it. It's on the players. You could talk about the clear out, Johnny. You could talk about the clear out, and it was brilliant.
These players.
Mate, we did that. Were leaders brought in? Were leaders identified but wasn't brought in because of cost? Were leaders overlooked by Ange? We'll never goddamn know. But what I do know is over 24 years, even when we brought Scotty Parker in, he was at the top going down, not on the way up. This club won't buy leaders. This club always thinks, okay, if this guy goes, how much can we get for him? That's what this football club does.
I don't subscribe to the fact that the club have got no, or he's got no interest in bringing in a player that's a leader on the pitch. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that.
Well, history will go back and show you.
No, history. Listen, history. But, history, we're talking about the now, and the now is Ange. Ange demanded these players.
Do you not think Jose wanted leaders and didn't get them? Do you not think Conte wanted leaders, didn't get them?
Yeah,
do you not think?
I'm talking about this manager.
No, but that's what I'm saying, Johnny. If it comes to the present now, it's all well and good what Ange wants. But if Ange
he didn't get what he wants? You think?
No, I think he might have missed out on a couple. No, Johnny. I think listen. This is where you got to be balanced. I think he got a lot of the players that he did want. But when it comes to a particular type of player, a leader, a hard as nails person, excuse me, that will not take shit, year in, year out, this club doesn't get them. Year in, year out, a player of that mould doesn't come to this football club.
The only player he didn't get that he wanted was Conor Gallagher, right? And Conor Gallagher wasn't going to come here, right?
I think there's more, but that's another point anyway. Right, let's deal with the questions because we've got a fair few. Right.
No, can't believe it.
And right now, just so people know, the only questions I've got are the ones that I'm bringing up right now because I cannot see them. So if you're putting in questions from this moment on, I cannot see them.
Just to say, guys, before we go, right, whoever's in the room or however many are in the room to help the channel and to help us grow, if you could hit the like button, it's the thumb, and make a comment. Make a comment if you can't do the questions now, and we'll answer them afterwards. But your likes really help the channel, and I really appreciate it if you manage to do it. Thanks.
Right, okay. You're going to deal with the first question while I go to the toilet very quickly. As always, Kulu's elusive right foot. Do you think that Spurs are just a vehicle for players to get in their national teams? It feels that we are very much second fiddle. I'll be back in 2 secs.
That's quite an interesting question because for quite a long time, people used to say they had no pride for playing for England. I can't vouch for, to speak for other countries, clubs. A stepping stone, I don't know. I think it's in the club's interest quite often. If you sign a player that's a young player that goes on to become an international, and you sign him for 20 million and he starts playing for his country, that ultimately could benefit the club if he goes on to be sold. But it can be detrimental to the club when they're going to the four corners of the earth and coming back injured. That is detrimental to the club. But I don't know about second fiddle. But I do think that players who really want to play for their country, who it is important to them, I wouldn't say it's secondary, but I would say it's important to them. There's definitely a correlation between the games we play just before an international break and the results we're getting, and those players then going off to play an international duty. So I would say there's definitely a correlation between that.
Yeah, you got to look at it. We mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. It happens with Romero. I've seen it happen with other players when it comes to international duty. And listen, I understand what honour, pride, joy, privilege it is for all these players to represent their countries. But it does look like when it's a game before an international break, and you know what? Coming up to a World Cup, a Euros, a Copa America, an African Cup of Nations, Asia, the Asian Cup, whatever. I can't remember the actual official name of it, so I do apologise. You can kind of go, right, World Cup's coming up. This is the pinnacle for them. But when it's these pre-season bloody friendlies, it's not on. It's not on, and you can see it. And I'm afraid I think Kulu is absolutely spot on. Some of these are just points that I saw that I'm going to bring up. And this goes on to exactly what it was from Nige. I wouldn't play Romero the game before an international break. He plays 50% go. It's spot on. And you know what? He's not the only one. He's not the only one. I will say Pedro Porro, who has been recalled into the Spanish club, always gives. There's no drop off.
Yeah.
He may have a under par game by his standards. I forgot to mention, whilst we were talking about people, where's the leaders? I did see him, Porro, shouting, screaming. He weren't having any of this. Just a shame the players didn't listen, but it is a thing. And now with Carvajal out, or Carvajal, what's his name? The Spanish Real Madrid Carvajal, isn't it? Danny Carvajal.
Yeah, no, I know. Danny Carvajal. Yeah,
whoever. With him out, you know Porro's going to play both games for Spain now. Yeah. You know for a fact. So we'll see. So, hey, can I ask a question? What's the difference between Jose, Conte, and Ange?
Fucking, excuse my French, right? Can you even put Ange in that same sentence? I'm sorry, I'm not having that, right? Ange has got a long way to go to be even considered in those.
That's why I say, what's the difference?
Huge difference. Jose and Conte were winners. And you can tell me Ange is a winner, but I'm not going to put Ange on the same parallel of winning in Scotland against nobody and winning in Japan and Australia, as opposed to Conte and Jose, who seem to win everywhere they go.
Well, the one thing I'm going to mention with Jose is people remember Olympiacos. I can't remember if it was a man injured or we had a man sent off or whatever was going down. Well, no, I think we're only just 1-0 down. 24 minutes, Eric Dyer, off you come.
Yeah, correct. This
man would make some... Forget what they've won. I'm just going to signal out one thing, in-game management. I mean, Conte, I don't really want to talk because I'm still... Listen, I still think that Conte having that rant at Levy was the best thing that's happened under Levy's entire... And I'll put that with the Carabao Cup for a manager finally calling it out. I'm still looking at with Conte when we're 1-0 down to Milan and down to 10 men, and he takes off a forward and puts on Royale. I don't listen, but in-game management, Conte and Jose were a million miles ahead. The style of management is obviously very, very different, but their in-game management would have been what we needed. Kudos, brother. How are you? Here we go. Yep. Why do the same disasters keep happening, even with a completely new squad of players? Is Levy's mindset filtered into the players or something? This is ridiculous. After you, Johnny.
Look. I'm no fan of Daniel Levy, right? But some of the stuff just gets ridiculous, right? He's not on the bloody training pitch. He's not telling them how to play football, okay? So whilst I blame Daniel Levy for many, many, many things, and many, right? Sacking the managers, appointing the wrong managers. I wanted Arne Slot, huge Arne Slot fan beforehand. Anyone who knows me knows how much I was going on about him way before Ange was appointed. I thought this was a very risky thing, but this is his team. He got rid of the players he wanted rid of. We hear him speaking for the last 18 months about his mindset, the mind, his mentality, changing the mentality, and how he's doing this and how he's doing that. I see 18 months down the line, and the guy who always wins something in his second season, I don't see anything different. I'm seeing the same stuff as I saw the end of last season.
Johnny, I listen. Where I agree with you, I completely disagree with you in the other way. If we look at the very first part of Kudos' question, why do the same disasters keep happening, even with a completely new squad of players? Yes, Ange has got his. People say 3-4 win. I'm not doubting Ange has got his players in, and Ange takes responsibility for what's going on now. But what Kudos is asking is, why does the same thing keep happening over and over? Whether it be whatever manager, I'll go back as far. Listen, October the 25th is a special day in my life because I will become 17 years Levy out. October the 25th is always another date for me. And for 17 years, I've been saying what I've been saying about the board. And for 17 years, I'll only use the 17 years, the same thing has happened over and over and over and over again with every single type of manager, with their players. If people are telling me Jose got his players,
he didn't. He didn't.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. This is what I'm saying.
But Ange has. But Ange
it doesn't. Has. Yes, but the same thing keeps happening, Johnny. You can't. I'm not just going to single Ange out and go, do you know what? Because Ange has got his players, this is on Ange. Because I still don't think Ange has got the players. I said, I think he's got 75%, maybe 80% of the players he wanted.
Yeah, but the 20% we've missed out on,
the 20% we've missed out on, we don't know who they are officially. Could have made a huge difference. Was it because of the price? Was it because of wages? Because we're trimming the wage bill? Because we have to do that. This keeps happening over and over and over again, and will continue to. Whether this is why, again, I stand by this exact thing is why I stand by managers, because no matter what happens, the same mistakes happen over and over again. But we'll go on to the next question.
Levy has nothing to do with the weekend. I know that much.
Levy had. Listen, I keep saying this. We're not. See, Joe, that's the thing. You've just mentioned that we've just gone on that this is on Ange and the players. Completely.
Yeah.
But the same mistakes are happening again and again and again over time, and we don't rectify it. What we do is we just go, right, we've got as far as we can go with you. The same thing's happening. Out you go.
Brian,
Let me finish. We'll bring in another manager. We'll give him this set of players. We'll assist him a bit, and we'll just kick the can down the road till you start doing the same things, and then we'll bring it. It happens over and over again.
No, you've got me wrong. I'm not saying we need to keep sacking a manager every week, because that's wrong, right? What I'm saying to you is we can't sit there and stick our head in the sand and saying that a lot of what's going on is on Ange at this present moment in time, because
the performance hasn't
been back. Historically, I don't think Mourinho was backed. I know Pochettino wasn't backed. And for that, I blame Levy. And for Levy, I blamed a lot what happened with Mourinho, sacking him before a tournament.
Yep.
And a lot what happened with Conte. But I'm saying that he's shown a lot of faith in Ange. And he's shown more support for Ange than the 2 or 3 players that he should have done. Did you hear our defenders communicate with each other? The only thing I saw was the communication, Ryan, before the game started, when they went in the huddle and they were all cheering each other up in that first half. In the second half, when they were there, because I was behind the goal, we kicked towards us in the first half, which was a change. Spurs tried to screw them up by changing it around. Last game, we kicked the other direction. I didn't see anyone try to pick up destiny or to rally the troops. I saw none of it. And that's why I expected to look across to my manager to call the players over and say to them, sort yourselves out, right? Destiny, are you no good? Are you no good? Let's take you off if you're struggling.
This is the thing. This is the thing. I mean, the next thing I've got is from Colin just saying, Brian, what is the reason why? Because we have no leaders, mate. We have no leaders. They come out thinking they're Johnny Big Bollocks, that they're better than they think they are. And we play for Tottenham Hotspur and we can do what we want. Look at this 2-0. And they do this all the time. There's so many times where we've just gone to sleep and been made to pay because there is no leaders. Until we get a Julian Dix, a Razor Ruddock, a Tony Adams, a John Terry, a Patrick Vieira, a Roy Keane, a player of those, a Stevie Perryman, go back, Graham Roberts. that will not accept crap on that pitch.
Billy Jones.
This will continue. Hey, user brother, how are you? We have refreshed a lot of the players, new coach. The older players weren't playing, so why does this happen? Just when you think you've turned the corner, we get turned. We get turned over.
One swallow doesn't make a summer, though, a user, right? And I've said this, whilst I'm happy we got the wins, there were definitely signs. There were flags. Come on. We beat Coventry. I was at Coventry, right? Look how many chances they missed. I was at Karabag, right? Look how many chances they missed. Look at Ferencváros. Look how many chances they missed. Look at Brentford. They had chances. They had just nearly as many chances as we had. There were signs, right? It's not been eradicated. It was signs. What happens is when we've gone up a level and played a better team, we've been done. But this is a team that was missing 3 key players, hadn't won a game in 4 games, and a player and a coach that has only just joined the league at 31 years of age, the youngest coach in Premier League history.
Yep. Listen, there's not much I could say on top of that. So we'll go to Eddie's. Big up, buddy. Why is Ange taking so long to make a change? I would have started Gray in midfield, started Spencer left back, and started Moore at left wing. I'll quickly take what I say about this, Jonny. With Mikey Moore, I actually said, listen, I don't want to overplay him. Whether that's personal opinion or factual, I just thought, you know what? I actually thought he was going to cut. The way I saw it is Werner would start, but Mikey Moore will gradually start getting more minutes in the Premier League, not just coming on with 10 minutes or 5 minutes. He'll come on at a time where he gets more of an impact. And I thought that was the right thing to do. I think he should start every single Europa League game without foul. But in the Premier League, ease him in. Well, listen, why he wasn't the first substitute made? Because we needed goals, but we brought on Sarr and Bissouma. This is, and I will say again, at the moment, this is an Ange thing, but this ain't just an Ange thing. This is a Tottenham thing. It's happened with so many managers. And yeah, Spence should have started the game or at least come on at half time or after the first goal. This is a big problem with our in-game management, which we have absolutely none of. Jonny, your thoughts?
I think he should have started. I think they all should have started. Or I definitely think that I'd like to have seen the 3 of them on at half time or maybe 5-10 minutes into the second half. I just want to add, Brian, the difference between Brighton and Tottenham, the class they showed by inviting Pascal Gross back to the game because he had a spare weekend because he didn't get a chance to say goodbye, which was top draw. And this man here who was at Spurs, he's one of the best there is in the business, if not the best in the business. We had him at our club. We treated him like dog shit. He left. Paul Barber.
Yeah, listen, when it comes to treating players after they've left, managers, whatever, I don't even want to get onto it on this because that's on a
top director of football. Look at their recruitment. Over and over and over again. People you've never even heard of.
Yep, and it comes right. Next one. Can we term Werner's? We can't. We can't. Unfortunately, he is here for the season. Let's just hope. If we get to this time next year or the summer next year, and I hear we've re-signed him and this time it's permanent, there will be hell to pay. I literally, if there is, then we'll wait and see. But we cannot terminate his loan. I just hope. I know Odebear's out for 6 weeks and it's still a fair way out, but Sonny will be back. When Richie's back, I'd rather play Richie on the left. I'd rather play a player out of position on the left because he's just not. It's just not working, is it? Colin Crossamano. If Johnson was still at Forest and scored 6 out of 6, would our fans be saying go get him in January? 40 million is a bargain, but still he gets slated by some fans for. People will know my views on Johnson. Colin, as you know, Colin Crossamano. The one thing I have seen, and there's a few people I have seen who, fair play to them, I've seen him score 4 and 4, 5 and 5, 6 and 6, and I've said, you know what, Johnson's doing his talking on the pitch, and I'm shutting up, or fair play to him, or whatever. And there's others that won't. Now everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm sorry, 6 and 6. You can't argue with it. Could he have done more in other games? Yeah, he could have. Could he have scored more in other games? Maybe, but that falls down to every single other player. And I will say once again, big up Brennan Johnson, and go away with Wales now. Hopefully, you get a couple of goals with Wales, because I know you got some slamming from the Welsh fans, and hopefully you shut them up as well. You come back against West Ham and make it 7 and 7. Jonny,
I put him in my fantasy. I've been the one criticising him back in the day that he needed to up his game, and he has. And so I put him in my fantasy team. So, eat humble pie, no problem. And let's be honest, right? If Werner could cross the ball and he finished better, he could have had a hat trick on Sunday. So you can only do what's good, the best you can do. Isn't it funny though that No Clue Nuno has suddenly again hit the ground running at Forest? Beat Liverpool. Great result with 10 men against Chelsea, and is now being lauded again for his work.
Okay, so I've got a bit of breaking news. I don't know if people have seen it. I'm just checking the comments. Okay, so breaking news from the Spurs Express. Tottenham coach Ryan Mason is in advanced talks to become the next Anderlecht manager. Ryan Mason could soon be out of Tottenham Hotspur. Whether you agree, disagree, listen, I know a lot of people going, yes, and I agree. We need to get rid of some of the coaching staff. What I will say is a lot of people giving Ryan Mason slack for set pieces. He's not even on set pieces.
I know.
So we can avoid that. But it does look like that Ryan Mason is in advanced talks to become the next Anderlecht manager. So
that could means, Brian? That's terrible news. That means now, that's disastrous news. That means he will not be our next interim manager. I hope, though,
my heart bleeds.
Joking aside, though, I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he has a fantastically successful career at Anderlecht, and it's the start of it. And who knows? I'm sure one day he'll be back at Spurs. Listen, he's learned under the best. He's learned under Conte, Mourinho, and Pochettino, and Nuno. He's been a great student, and look at what happened with Arteta under the tutorship that he's learned. So maybe one day he'll come back and he'll manage us.
Who knows? But that's the breaking news. We will be discussing that on Evening Brews that I have with James Flower today. Phil P. Right, I've got about 10 minutes. So for as bad as we were defensively in the second half, why couldn't we make more of an impact on the break in that time?
Because they were dead. You cannot press with that intensity for 90 minutes. So what do? There's a reason why there's 5 subs, Phil, to rejuvenate the squad. Funny how Brighton utilised all 5 subs. They kept that intensity. They kept that freshness while we were going down, 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 down. It was like watching a Duracell bunny lose its power. Meanwhile, at half time, someone put Matoma's Duracell batteries in and he went up a gear. We went down a gear.
Yep, they were obviously read the riot act. It's who we are, mate, Phil. It's who we are, mate. PH family, that Gary O'Neill interview was on
Monday
Night Football last season. I don't know if you'll be able to find it on YouTube somewhere. I don't know if someone has seen it and has got the link for it, but if you just type into Google Gary O'Neill discusses Tottenham, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Now, the last question is I'm going to tie it. It's I've got from Dean, but I'm going to bring up my brother Terry Wright's comment as well. Question for you both. If it doesn't work out with Ange, who would be your choice to replace him? And just before you answer, Jonny, Terry Wright, I'm not Ange out yet, but I don't understand why the club didn't bring Thomas Frank in. He would have been the perfect manager, in my opinion, this was my number one choice before Ange. He was my number one pick. I think Thomas Frank is an exceptional man and manager who makes changes within games, can see things. It will. I'll quickly give you my answer. It would be if we had to get someone in the Premier. My top two, if it was to work out, is the Sporting Lisbon manager. What's his name again? Almarin, or Thomas Frank. Because I will say now, I think Thomas Frank is a brilliant manager. I really do. Jonny, who would yours be?
My number one was Slot. My number two was Gallardo. Number three was Almarin, and number four was Thomas Frank. Okay, massively underrated. And I noticed people were saying, "Oh, he scored in 75 seconds this week. It was much slower." The reason being, they didn't actually kick off. The other three times they scored in under a minute, they kicked off. They didn't kick off this week. For me, it'd be Almarin and him. Gallardo's gone back to River Plate, I believe. But I'm a huge Slot fan, and I really do mean, I really do think that he's going to take Liverpool to another level.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like we said, people will say Thomas Tuchel. I don't think he comes to Tottenham in a million years, and not because he won't want to. We ain't hiring someone.
I think he'll. Listen, I'm not going to go into.
We will not hire someone that will lay the law down like an Antonio Conte, because a certain person will be worried about the backlash. We have to be realistic. Listen, I don't want us to get rid of Ange. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Think of me what you want. All my attention, all my I don't know what word to use. All my energy to getting someone out of this football club will never waver from the owner. Will never, ever, ever waver from the owner. Until he's gone, he is public enemy number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Go on. That will never change.
Can I just add on that front that I don't want Ange to be sacked. I want Ange to be successful. But in order to Ange to be successful, he needs to stop the shit, stop the comments, start reacting on the pitch, and balance. There's a reason why there's the word yin and yang. It's balance. Everything in life needs balance. You can't have all-out attack with little focus on defence. Okay? Everything needs balance. We don't have any. And if he refuses to accept change and refuses to change his moral or his mindset, I'm afraid it will end in tears. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Lee has put that Tuchel was a Spurs fan. Correct, he is. Do I think Tuchel would want to come? Yes. Do I think our owner will allow it? No.
The good chance he will come to the club if he leaves.
Well, listen, who knows? I mean, you got to look at it now. Man U have come out today, or there's been rumours or a statement today that Man U haven't gone for Tuchel during this break because obviously, apparently on Thursday, there's a big directors meeting with Man U, and obviously Erik ten Hag is going to be at the very, very top of the bill. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I want Ange to succeed. I want Ange to be given time. Do I think he can turn it around? Yes. Do I think he'll be given the time? We'll wait and see. As I've always said, and people mark my words on this, the sweet spot for the man upstairs is the end of October, beginning of November, for firing managers in their second season. Go check it out.
Yeah.
And we are coming to that period now. We got West Ham at home next. And I will say, end of October, we have Manchester City at home in the league before playing Aston Villa at home. Galatasaray away. So, like I said, just keep your eyes peeled. If things are still not right, end of October, beginning of November, watch out. Levy's about.
Do you think that's why he looked a bit down?
Do you
think he's been told? Do you think someone said to him?
I don't know. I just don't know what's going on, and we'll see what happens. But on that note, Jonny, where can people find you?
You can find me. Just before you find me, just remember, guys, if you really could, good housekeeping when you go out the door, out someone's house, if you close the front door, if you could on your way out hit that like button and make a comment if you get time. You can find me here on Jonny H3232 on X and on Insta and TikTok. Let's Talk Tottenham 1882, where I post my longer videos that you can't do on X. So any support would be appreciated. And Brian, we got a nice break now. Thank God. I think we need one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to go and see a doctor because I think I'm suffering from Spursitis, because I can't think of any other reason why I'm driving with a stinking cold to Coventry, to here, to there, to there. I'm driving back and spending hours getting back and still going for more. Glutton for punishment. Can't help it.
I will finally say the one thing I will say, just to pick up my man Scott M, who said, "Listen, I'll tell you now, Scott, and trust me when I say this, it's a double-edged sword, because if the results turn bad and the fans start screaming Levy out, he reacts by sacking a manager. If the results in the league are bad in October, November, he will sack a manager. Whether it's whether with what you said is right or wrong, if the results are bad October, November, I do fear for him. If Levy out gets chanted loudly, which I always want to hear because of the man deserves it, the manager will pay the price. So I think we'll see. But just remember what I said. The sweet spot is late October, early November. But we are going to end it there. I've got a 14-minute break before I am on We Are Tottenham TV, the panel show. Then I've got Ange Management. Then I've got Evening Brews here at 1 p.m. with James Flower, where we're going to look a lot more into Ange's comments, certain players. We're going to go a real deep dive into it and discuss anything that breaks. Then I'll be on the Danilist and Nigel's show straight after. So I've got a busy day of streaming. So I'm going to take this 15 minutes and just sit down in
Brian,
peace.
you're a streamaholic. You're a streamaholic.
I am a slut. I am a slut. What can I say? All I will say, everyone that has watched, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, Levy out.
Come on, you Spurs.